I know that we can.
I know darn well we can work it out. Oh, yes, we can. I know we can. Yes, we can. Oh, why can't we if we want to? Yes, we can.
I know we can make it work.
Welcome to Yes We Can with Pastor Sherman D.Manning. Thank you for joining me. I have an exciting, fabulous, fantastic guest today. Her name is Elizabeth Mitchell. She is a partner in the firm of Spertus, Landis, and Umhofer. Elizabeth is a graduate of UC Riverside, where she was on the dean's list. She graduated, that's another way of saying she's smart. She graduated from Pepperdine Law School, graduating cum laude. I told you she was smart. She was an attorney with the Police Litigation Unit in the LA City Attorney's Office, where she worked on high-profile civil cases involving allegations of civil rights violations, excessive force, wrongful death, and false arrest. She was also a prosecutor in the LA City Attorney's Office, where she focused on violent and sexual crimes. Elizabeth Mitchell is currently a partner, as I just told you, in the Spertus firm. Elizabeth pioneered a first-of-its-kind lawsuit against the city and county of LA, demanding beds for thousands of homeless brothers and sisters. Listen to that. Demanding beds for thousands of homeless men, women, and children. She demanded clean water and safe streets for the community, and the complaint has prompted swift and dynamic action by the federal courts during the pandemic, when most of the homeless people were forgotten about. Elizabeth, having said that, tell me who you are.
I mean, I think that's who I am. I'm, a person that cares deeply, and I'm trying to do the Lord's work as much as I can. I think that our community deserves balanced actions and deserves immediate relief. And here we are.
Okay, tell me how you got to this lawsuit. I mean, I know a lot about you. You know me. We've worked together. But for anyone watching who knows nothing about this lawsuit, tell me how you got involved.
Sure. So I was in the city attorney's office, as you said. I left the city because, I was so frustrated, honestly, with the city's actions on a lot of issues, and homelessness was one of them.
Right.
And I just frankly didn't want to work for the city anymore. So I left, went to this wonderful firm, and I was hoping for some boring cases of, corporate litigation for a while where I could just take a breath. And I was only with the firm for about 6 months when a group came to me to say, we are just so frustrated with the pace of solutions that are coming out of City Hall and out of the county seat.
What group was it?
Well, it eventually turned into the LA Alliance for Human Rights. Mm-hmm. At the time, it didn't have a name. It was just a group, honestly, of pissed off people. Mm-hmm. And it was a group of community members, business leaders, recently homeless individuals, their service providers. I think I've gotten them all. And they just we just had a series of meetings of just how can we do this, right? We have, nothing else has worked. The executive branch has failed us. The legislative branch has failed us. Is there a way that we can use the judicial branch to turn this around and turn this around swiftly? And so my background was in constitutional law, criminal and constitutional law.
Right. And
they had tried to get a series of lawyers to get this done. And lawyer after lawyer just said, it's not possible. It's not possible. Or there's no money in it. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And my firm thankfully allowed me to do this. And we said, let's see what we can do. So we spent months and months researching. I did a lot of fundraising to be able to support this.
Right.
We were able to draft a complaint, first of its kind in the country. Mm-hmm. And we took that complaint to city leaders, to county leaders, to attorneys for the city and the county, and said, listen, we're about to do this. Mm-hmm. You have two choices. You can join in this with us and do what you know is right and what you've been saying you want to do for this entire time, right. Or we're going to file this lawsuit and we can fight it out in court. And, there was conflict, I will say, within the city and county. Some of them said, yeah, let's do it. Let's sign on. Let's do what's called a pre-filing settlement. Mm-hmm. There were several individuals that said, you know what, we see what you're trying to do. We like what you're trying to do. Now make us do it.
Okay.
Just like, we don't have the political will to do this ourselves. And then
Right.
there were a lot of people that said this can't be done. So we immediately filed. We had to wait a bit. And then March 10th of 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic,
Right.
we filed this lawsuit. And what we did was we related the case. It's called relating a case to Judge David O. Carter
Yes.
out of Orange County. And that man, we knew what we were doing. You know, we were bringing in a dragon on a leash. And if you know anything about dragons, they don't stay
Yes.
on leaches, right? They
Right.
pull you along with them.
Yes.
And so we truly did bring in a dragon on a leash.
Wow.
And within just a few days of getting this case, he ordered every single political official in the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles into his courtroom. And a lot of other officials came along to see what was going on.
Right.
And it was March 19th of 2020. So you can understand, nobody had masks on, nobody had gloves on, nobody knew how to talk to each other or shake hands.
Right.
It's like all these, politicos bowing to each other because nobody knew what we were supposed to do.
Right.
And, they all kind of came in and pledged their allegiance to this lawsuit and to Judge Carter and said, help us do this, Judge Carter. We want to do what you want to do. And Judge Carter said, be careful what you say. Be careful what you say. And he was right.
Right.
Because it's exactly what he's done. And so through this litigation, we have been able to push and push. And with Judge Carter, pushing alongside with us. And
now, these political officials, was Mayor Eric Garcetti, was he included in those officials?
He was there. Yeah.
Okay. And what has he been helpful? What's the report on the mayor's office?
No.
Okay.
He says a lot and does nothing, to be honest. I mean, he says that he's doing everything he can. All of the city officials say they're doing everything they can.
Right.
But there's so much more that they could do.
Right.
I mean, they say that they're doing everything they can, yet they're pouring all their money into $800,000 a door, projects that cost 10 years to develop.
Right.
When you could take that $800,000 and help how many people, feed how many people, provide beds for how many people.
Right.
I mean, it's honestly absurd what we're seeing come out of the city. So for 2 years, we fought and fought and fought, and they appealed. Judge Carter issued this dynamic order
Yes.
that just traced, it was 110 pages, and traced the entire history of racism that has led us here, and of just complete, not even inaction, but intentional action that has led us to this place of, where we have 66,000 homeless individuals on the streets of Los Angeles. And he linked that to just the complete failure of our government. And of course he ordered dynamic and swift action. Do you think they did it? No. They appealed.
Unpack the order for us. I mean, I know it's 110 pages.
Yeah.
I read the entire thing, but if you had to unpack it in 3 or 4 minutes, what did he order?
Yeah, so in 3 or 4 minutes, I can tell you he ordered the immediate sheltering within 90 days of all the women and children on Skid Row. He ordered the immediate sheltering and provision of services and treatment to every individual in Skid Row, man, woman, and child within 180 days. He confiscated $1 billion from the mayor's office because he said clearly the city does not know how to spend its own funds in a way that is going to stymie this crisis. He ordered audits of the homeless initiative. He ordered reports of the HHH program, which is the $800,000 a door program. We talked about the permanent supportive housing. So a whole series of things. But the most important thing was focusing on Skid Row. He's very focused on Skid Row,
Right.
and ordering the immediate sheltering of every man, woman, and child within 6 months.
Wow.
They said, we can't do it. They appealed it. And the Ninth Circuit reversed it on essentially procedural grounds, something called standing.
Right.
And essentially said, Judge Carter, you didn't hold a hearing. She didn't.
Okay.
You brought up claims which the plaintiffs didn't even bring, which is true. I mean, he made this a much broader case than we originally brought, which is fine. And so they said, go back and try again, which is exactly what we did. So they issued the order, I think in September. We filed our amended complaint in October.
Okay.
We were, going through a series of fights again.
Okay.
They wanted to dismiss it. We said, we'll fight you. We'll see you in court. And before we could do anything with that, the city of Los Angeles settled with us.
Uh-huh.
So that's where we're at.
Now, when you say the city of Los Angeles settled, how, pray tell, did they settle?
Yeah, so we entered into a settlement with the city for a 5-year term, which the judge will oversee the entire thing, and they committed to providing shelter housing for 60% of the individuals that are currently unsheltered on the street. And I can tell you how we came up with that number. But they committed to doing that, and not in 5 years, right? It's not going to take an entire 5 years. It's just that the settlement itself is a 5-year period of time. And so they're committed to both shelter as well as regulation of public spaces. And so what that means is when they hit that 60%, and we got that 60% number from the programs that they did down in Orange County,
okay,
where they went out and they interviewed several people experiencing homelessness down the Santa Ana riverbed.
Mm-hmm.
About 1,500 people were living there.
Okay.
And they interviewed all of them, and about 801 wanted to come inside. The remaining ones said, no, we're going to migrate, or we're going to, go back to family or whatever.
Okay.
And so that's where the 60% came from. And the idea being it's a throughput, right? You go into shelter and eventually you're in permanent housing, and that opens the bed for the next person. So people have asked, well, why not 100%? And the answer is not everybody's appropriate for shelter, right? Some people need severe mental health help, and so they're not going to go into a shelter. Some people, have family that they need to reunite with. They don't need to go into shelter.
Right.
And so the idea is, let's start helping the people that we can immediately, and get those beds opened up very quickly. So we're pretty excited about that. We're just waiting right now on the new 2022 point in time count numbers. And as soon as we get those next month, everything starts rolling. So it'll be really fun to start rolling out this project.
Now that has been my question. Where is that homeless count? I was talking to someone the other day. We were trying to figure out, but you just answered it. So you think the numbers will be available next month?
Yeah, that's what we were told. So HUD delayed certification of the point in time count numbers.
Uh-huh.
So typically we get them in June.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're going to be getting them next month.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of this project rolls out from the 2022 point in time count numbers, because that's how we know how many beds are going to be our target beds.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, and we can talk about, remember the freeway settlement? I like to call it the freeway settlement.
Mm-hmm.
The city and the county hates that name.
Right.
But there was a whole fight over freeways, because Judge Carter was like, if you're saying freeways are so dangerous, everybody near freeways gets a bed.
Right.
Get everybody near a freeway a bed. He was very frustrated.
Right.
Understandably, right? We all are.
Right.
And so as a result of that, we got an additional 6,700 beds that we've already had.
Mm-hmm.
So the hope is that we don't have much of an increase in unsheltered homelessness this year,
Okay.
because of that increase in those shelter beds.
Okay.
So we have already gotten 6,700. I think they actually hit 7,500 beds, and we're looking at another probably 15,000, which is just really exciting.
Now the people that are going to be housed, is it predominantly those who are sleeping on the streets in the Skid Row area, or is this spread out across the county of Los Angeles?
It's throughout the city. We're still fighting with the county right now.
Okay.
So it's only the city that has settled. The county needs to jump into this.
Mm-hmm.
Not the least of the reasons, because they are responsible. They have the legal, both the obligation and the right to treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the ones that need to provide, in particular, mental health treatment, substance use disorder treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's such a necessary part of this because
Right.
people, as you know, Pastor, like you stay on the streets for a long time, you have experienced trauma, and
Right.
have such tough things that you go through, you experience, you lack sleep. There's so much crime
Right.
on the streets, and so people often turn to drugs to cope or to stay awake at night.
Right.
So it's such a crucial piece of this. That's part of why we're still fighting with the county. But to your question, this is just for the city of Los Angeles, but it's throughout the city. It's not for just Skid Row.
Okay. Now, when you talk about you're still fighting with the county, unpack that for us. Where are you in that fight? What are you asking for? And when do you expect some results?
The results. I wish I wanted results 2 years ago,
Okay.
sir. We filed our new complaint, which is just focused on the county,
Okay.
and we're really fighting them mostly on the treatment issue. Unfortunately, I don't have any plaintiffs in the unincorporated areas of the county, so what we're focusing on for them is the treatment and their mandatory obligations for services and treatment. So we filed that complaint in July,
Okay.
and they are going to be filing their motion to dismiss, and we're going to keep fighting
Right.
as long as it takes to get them into this. But we're, our patience with this is over, and I think Judge Carter's patience with this is over. So either they need to jump into this settlement and be part of the solution, or we're going to force it on them as much as we can.
Right. Now, when you talk about 2022 rather, I'm waiting on this count, homeless count to come in and all of that. My next question would be, when we actually see some results in 2022, what are those results going to look like? In other words, if I've got 20 people on Skid Row, where I am all the time, as you know, and I hope my producer is going to put some of the photos of you and I together on Skid Row up on the screen as we speak. In 2022, let's say it's February, and I have 10 people who are homeless on Skid Row, although there are thousands, and I want to get them housed through this new program or this as a result of this new settlement. What are we going to do? How's that? What's that going to look like?
February of 2023.
2022.
So 6 months ago?
2023.
6 months from now. Okay.
I didn't drink my coffee. Okay.
Yeah,
2023.
yeah.
We're in 2022. Yes. Next year,
Okay.
when the program is fully kicking and running next year,
Right.
what is it going to look like?
I mean, so after we get the HUD certified point in time count numbers
Right.
in September, the city has to come back to the plaintiffs, us, with their plan
Okay.
for shelter,
Okay.
as well as their milestones and deadlines.
Okay.
And if we like their plan, great, good job, city. If they're moving with alacrity, then great, we're very excited.
Right.
If they're not, if the timing doesn't look right, if we're not satisfied that this is an appropriate plan, then we bring it to Judge Carter, and Judge Carter makes the final ruling. So I can't tell you exactly what that's going to look like
Right.
until probably October.
Right. Because you haven't seen it yet. Okay. Very good.
Right.
In your firm, there's one of the partners is Matt. How do you pronounce his name? Umhofer.
Umhofer.
He
Yeah.
came to my church with you actually when you were
He did.
awarded an award from our organization. Tell me a little bit about Matt, because there was something about him and about his spirit. He just seems like not only a nice guy, not only a Christian, but he seemed very passionate. When you brought him the idea, or he brought you the idea about this homeless lawsuit, tell me what that was like.
I'll tell you, and Matt has been so supportive and has been such a cheerleader through this. It's been brilliant and wonderful, and he's been such a great partner. So he, he's kind of a big thinker.
Yes.
And I remember coming to him and saying, Matt, I don't know how we can do this, but something like this has never been done.
Right.
I don't know that we have we have to invent the wheel here.
Right.
And I don't know that we can do that. And he said to me, hey, Liz, let's be great. Just be great.
Right.
And I was so mad at him because I was like, what does that mean, Matt? Be great. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't just snap my fingers and be great. Right. And I was pretty frustrated with him, but you know what? It honestly has just stuck with me. Like, let's just be great. Let's just shoot for the stars.
Right.
See what happens.
Right.
Let's just do this fight, and we'll fight for what's right and for what's just, and we'll see what happens. And he was right.
Wow.
He was 100% right. And it has been an inspiration to me. I wish he was here. At some point, I'm in the office, so maybe I'll drag him in if I see him walk by.
Yes.
But no, he's just wonderful.
He seems like a great guy. What kind of law, by the way, does he practice? What does he do? What does Matt do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so Matt actually does 50% criminal defense and 50% civil litigation.
Okay.
So he's he came from the federal prosecutor's office, the U.S. Attorney's office. That's where I first met him.
Uh-huh.
So he was my boss over there. He was my intern coordinator at the U.S. Attorney's office.
Wow.
He was there for, I don't even know, maybe 10 years or so, but before he left and joined private practice.
Okay. Now, how's James doing? When I was getting ready to give you the award, I spoke on the phone with, I think it was James Spurtus. How's he doing
Jim.
now?
Oh, he's doing great. Thank you for asking. He's doing great. Our firm is growing, and we have so many cases coming in. I mean, faster than we can swallow them, to be honest.
Wow.
So we're expanding our downtown office, and we're remodeling and doing all these things faster than we can, which is interesting because this is one of those cases that we haven't gotten paid on.
Right.
And the fact that we've been able to sustain this, I mean, that's a little bit of a miracle because this has been a huge effort. I mean, it's what's called a fee shifting case. So I don't want anybody to feel too bad for me.
Right.
The idea being at the end, we hopefully get reimbursed if we win or if we settle. But it's been a huge lift, and thanks to Jim and Matt, who are our managing partners, for supporting that.
Well, I don't know how much you can say or can't say, but I'll ask this question. It would be malpractice not to ask it, if you will. You said that in the beginning of this lawsuit that you all did some fundraising to raise money. Who helped you? Where did the money come from? What kinds of?
Oh, sure. Honestly, it was such a grassroots effort, and that was just kind of to get it started. I know I just said we had been paid. We were paid a little bit at the beginning, but it was just like it was such a grassroots effort of everybody coming together. I mean, obviously, nonprofits and service providers are not going to have a lot of funds to be able to
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Right? And now, as that the Alliance is a 501c3, I'm very aware of that because I'm sit on their board now.
Right.
But so what they did is they connected us to their to a lot of their funders.
Okay.
Yeah, to be able to say, hey, and it was just a lot of community members. I mean, we were getting $20 checks and $30 checks, and
fabulous.
A lot of it. I don't even know. The last I saw, we probably had several hundred people that made up that initial base to get us started. So
wonderful.
I
can't let you get out of here without asking, tell everybody, how did you and I meet?
Oh, I actually was thinking about that. I don't know how we first met. Did we meet at Skid Row? I don't know how we first met.
I think initially you called me and someone had given you my name and you wanted to know about Skid Row and going to Skid Row, and could I accompany you to help find some people to put in the lawsuit?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it wasn't plaintiffs that we were looking for. It was people just to talk to get their stories. That's what we were looking for.
Right.
And because we already had a bunch of plaintiffs, but it was just people like, hey, let's just talk to people and let's see what we can get.
Right.
And I thought, maybe somebody had given me your name. I don't remember what it was.
Right.
But we were walking around, and we've done this now a few times, and you've just been so wonderful, and it's been really fun, actually.
Right.
And I'm down there now quite a bit, just with all of my friends that I have met down there, and my plaintiffs and people that are down there. But you walk with such a confidence that a little white girl walking around in Skid Row might not have that same confidence that you do.
Well, I remember the first time we walked together, you told me that walking with me felt like you were walking with the boss. And I told you that you were walking with the boss because the boss is the Holy Ghost, okay?
Yeah,
and without him, I couldn't do it. But it is, I will tell you, I brag on you all the time because you have such a wonderful spirit, such a wonderful attitude. And when you're on Skid Row, and I know she's putting those photos up now, dealing with the people, I mean, you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. You don't come across as condescending. And I really, really appreciate that. And I'm excited about this lawsuit. I talk about it all the time, waiting on the results. I know it's been up and down. And as my good friend, Attorney John Eisen told you when you were at our church, it's like you all were like David taking on Goliath. But I believe that you're going to kill this giant. I believe that we're going to transform
Thank
these
you.
streets.
Gosh, your lips to God's ears. Like it's been a long road. I think if we can ever get this done, I might just lay down for a week and not get up. It has been such a lift. But if I can just tell your viewers a quick story, and I know I tell this story about you a lot, but it really touched me quite a bit. So one of the times, I don't remember if it was the first time or not, but I didn't know, I'm a naturally skeptical person. I'm a lawyer, right?
Yes.
I deal with a lot of shady people.
Yes.
And so I didn't know quite what to think about you because you have such a way about you that I was like, who is this guy? And we were walking down the street, and I was like, I want to say it was 6th Street. And there was a woman that was sitting up against Midnight Mission, and she had a pair of scissors in her hand. And she's like yelling to me, like, hey, hey. And I turn around, she's got a pair of scissors in her hand. She's like, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. And I'm thinking to myself, pardon my language. And I hope that, I don't know if you need to bleep out that word or whatever for your podcast, but I'm thinking, I can't, she might kill me, right? I can't go close to her,
Right.
but I also can't leave.
Right.
Right. I didn't know what to do because what if she does harm herself?
Right.
But also what if she harms me or somebody else? Like, I didn't know where to go. And you sat down next to her and you told me, you just go on ahead. I'll meet with you later. And you sat down next to her and you said, tell me what's going on. And I was just so touched by your humility. I mean, here you are in a suit, right? You're sitting down on Skid Row and next to this woman with a pair of scissors who is clearly unstable and in desperate need of help. And you sat down next to her, in a dangerous situation, and you just talked to her. And it was so impactful for me to hear this and to see this. And I was like, he's the real thing. Like, I just was very impressed with you. So I just want to tell people about that. So hopefully, any listeners that hear this really know that they're dealing with a real deal.
Well, I thank you for that. And we'll trade stories. So now I have a story on you, and that is the first time. And this is a rarity. The first time I worked with you on Skid Row and we were together, I went home that day. And what you didn't know is that, yes, we can Worship Center. We house the homeless, feed the hungry. We do it on a shoestring budget. We don't get any grants from the government. I'm not a government type guy. I mean, I'm an outcast type preacher. I'm rough around the edges. I'm Paul. I used to be Saul. I was a gangster and all of that. Matter of fact, shameless plug, I was arrested in front of the mayor's house when the pandemic started because I was trying to get housing for those during the pandemic. But anyway, so it's hard for us to raise money sometime. And the first time we were on Skid Row together, I never mentioned any fundraising. I couldn't figure
out why it was so blurry. Now I figure out. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anything like that. And I got back to the office that day, and I looked at PayPal, and there was a sizable contribution from your husband and you, and it was in your husband's name. And I said, I kept seeing Mitchell. I said, wait a minute, Mitchell. So something said, let me call. And I called you and asked you, did you know his first name? And you said, oh yeah, that's my husband. And you gave a contribution, and you've done it more than once. And it may not be a big deal to you, but I want you to know that stuff like that is huge to our organization. I mean, people don't know $1,000 in an organization like mine goes a long way, feeding people, housing them, doing what we do. But you did that without me asking you for anything, and I will never forget that because lots of people call me when they want to go to Skid Row, Elizabeth, but I never hear back from them. Lots of people call, and you're an attorney, you know how that goes. It's like I call you and ask you for free legal advice, and then I hit the lottery for $1 billion, and you don't hear from me anymore. So that was very meaningful to me. I thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to have you back again. Is there anything you want to say as we exit? Anything else?
No, I mean, I really don't. I didn't actually know. I think I had emailed you and said, hey, what are we going to talk about? I'm happy to go on your show. And I didn't hear back from you. So I'm glad. I mean, and just thank you for having me on. I've always appreciated you and your work. And, I wish that we would have gotten together more often. I haven't seen you in a couple months, so it's been a pleasure.
Yes, you'll see me again soon. Tell Matt I said hello. I want to see the two of you all. And one update. My church that you came to that was in a storefront is actually moving into a real church sanctuary next Friday night. And at some point in the future, you don't have to commit on air. I need you and Matt to come back and see us again. Thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Attorney Elizabeth Mitchell. She is a brilliant attorney. She's passionate about what she does. And she says, I'm the real deal. I can tell you that Elizabeth is the real deal. We will have her back again to update us on the lawsuit. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember that you can make a difference in your community. We can do it together. Yes, we can.